What is up, guys? Archon I'm here bringing you guys another YouTube video. In today's video, we're going to be discussing the hot fixes that are going live on the 25th, which is Tuesday after reset. And the reason I want to go over these particular ones is because I think Blizzard has pretty much given up on this patch in a way, and I'll explain why as we get down the notes. So druids are just getting a quality of life for raid healing, so that way they do a bit more raid healing while not affecting their dungeon output too much. And that comes in the form of mana cost and rejuvenation, Ophorescence, which is their AoE heal on the ground, and Tranquility's direct healing, being increased by 11%. Hunter is also seeing a damage increase on all abilities by 5% with marksmanship. Same with Frost, 5% increase on all abilities. Windwalker is getting buffed again with an increase by 5% on all abilities, which is really interesting because they actually went out of their way at the start of 8.3 to buff Windwalker Monk to try to get their single target DPS up, so I'm guessing they're still not happy with where that's at. Outlaw Rogue resolved an issue where they were having trouble targeting mobs when Uldum and Veil with their Blade Flurry, so it's just a quality of life fix. Shaman Enhancement is getting an increase on all abilities by 3%, and Demonology Warlock is also getting the 5% increase. So it seems interesting that rather than buff individual abilities, they're just giving everything the 5% like they did at the start of the expansion to try to fix all of the classes that didn't necessarily get a rework from the artifact system in Legion. So they're not gonna, I guess, go out of their way to try to individually, buff nerf abilities, and this is just what we're gonna see probably for the next couple months, 6 to 8 months, while we wait for Shadowlands. Don't expect any type of, super buffs where you're seeing direct abilities be hit. For dungeons and raids, we have the Mythic Keystone, Explosive Affix. Explosive Orbs, again, immediately put players into combat, and Explosive Orbs can again be tap targeted. So I guess what happened at the start of 8.3 is they took out the ability to tap target to orbs because they were having issues with players interacting with the portals and being able to skip some of the mobs inside of the portals or the obelisks. Like the one that comes to mind most would probably be the Tank Buster. The little pustules on the ground people tend to ignore and run past, and they would continue to spawn explosives, even though you weren't directly near them. And what happens now is if you don't clear them, they start spawning explosives. You try to click the portal, you will not be able to click the portal because you will be in combat. So they're going to try to find another fix for this, and they're going to give players the ability to tab target back to the explosive orbs, which I think is huge. Because even though it did help you inside the obelisk, I think it's only a few encounters that you can actually get away with even doing that. And I'd rather be able to tab target to an explosive orb during the dungeon. So we'll just read the developer's notes. When testing the Awakened Affix, we found that explosive orbs could sometimes prevent players from entering or exiting Ny'alotha spires and rifts if their party was in combat inside the instance. To solve this issue, we changed them to not place players in combat immediately. However, this had the unintended side effect of breaking player expectations around tab targeting explosive orbs. So we're reverting their threat generation behavior and trying an alternate solution. So it's like I said, players weren't able to tab target anymore. They posted in the forums about it, I'm sure, and complained about it. And it only really saved you on the Tank Buster realistically because everything else you had to clear anyway. So you can tab target your orbs again, but you can't instantly portal. So you're going to have to deal with the extra mobs. Azeroth's Radiance now properly restores sanity to players who are under the effects of an immunity spell in all difficulties. So I'm wondering how many raids got wiped because they were popping a defensive and it prevented them from restoring sanity to themselves. An interesting thing or a statistic to see. The big thing for Vexiona now, cultists now have their health adjusted based on raid size up to a maximum 10% reduction for 10-player raids on normal and heroic difficulties. So Vexiona, if you're not sure what that boss is, it's the dragon that summons all of the cultists through the portals, and there's a lot of them. You have to cleave them down in while also dealing damage to Vexiona in order to progress the fight. So it'll be interesting to see what it looks like for other raids. I'm guessing since it's 10% for 10-player raids, at 20% you don't see a reduction at all. So maybe it's a 1% reduction for each player added to the raid group. Try to figure those numbers out. Resolved an issue that allowed rear origination anchors to be attackable with area of effect spells for Ra-Den. Not really sure if that's an issue or what, because we haven't done Ra-Den on Heroic, at least our guild hasn't. Research into Synchronized Mind Stabilizer has improved, now always reviving the player with at least 500, or at least half their sanity, sorry. So it used to be 500 sanity, and I'm guessing that as players filled out the tree and they got the extra 150, They just decided to say, whatever, we'll just give you guys extra half back. Not sure if that's what that was about, but I'm assuming. The horrific vision of Stormwind, Master Umbric now casts Frozen Storm twice during the encounter, was 3 times. So if you guys go check out the last video I did, which was a guide to horrific Stormwind, you'd know that I said slower classes have a problem with Umbric because they can't keep up with him teleporting across the room and slowing you. It is nice to see that they've changed it to twice during the encounter. I think 3 times is a little much, especially like I said for the slower classes, because you have to get within range of him, and if you happen to continue fighting him where he teleported the first time, then you're stuck running all the way across the room, and it's a rank 3 zone, so you're losing a lot of sanity if you don't have your cloak leveled up. Items and rewards, Torn Pages of Fear and Flesh. The number of Torn Pages of Fear and Flesh quest items required for the rank 13 to 15 quests have been reduced. So they initially had it being 6, 12, 18, so now you're looking at 4, 6, 8. So it's a big change. The change should make all quests completable by most players in the week and not require players to feel the need to save as many keys week to week. Along with our other quality of life changes, this should help newer characters catch up with their peers. So they actually folded on this, and I'm surprised that they did, because the whole thing of 8.3 was that, oh, you're going to level up this cloak for, weeks on end into March, April. And once you get your cloak maxed out, depending on if you were saving vials or not, that would be what you would do for the next couple months before Shadowlands comes out. I think we probably have 6 to 8 months on that. So it's interesting that they're conceding that, hey, we want more people to do visions. We want them to experience it more often. We don't want players to feel like they have to hoard their horrific vials in order to, save to get a cloak level later on down the line. We want them to be able to use them whenever they want. I don't know how this is going to affect the longevity of this patch. Honestly, I think this may actually hurt the patch in the long run. You're going to see a lot of players leave the game probably a couple months before Shadowlands comes out. I can't see people sticking around after getting the cloak to 15 outside of maybe wanting to just do mythic pluses for the fun of it. That's about the only content. Maybe do raid and try to clear heroic. But I mean, outside of that, I don't see people sticking around until Shadowlands. Probably see a lot of servers lose a lot of players. But anyway, up to 4 torn pages of Fear and Flesh quest items can now drop in horrific visions from objectives on the rank 7 through 11 legendary cloak upgrades. It was a max of 2 before. So they're making it more alt friendly as well. So now if you can somehow get carried in rank 7 to 11 and can get the other 2 zones, the dark zones done, or the lost zones, you can now get 4 of your pages, which means you can catch up alts really quick. So it's good to see that they're trying to make it more alt friendly, while also making, I guess, for your main a little bit more achievable as well. Like I said, I'm not sure how the rank 13 through 15 is going to affect the patch. I do think that the 7 through 11 change was necessary in order for people to actually get the motivation to want to do alts, because it does suck having to do vials on every single character. Let's say you have 4 or 5 alts. It definitely sucked that you could only get 2 pages for your alts, or 4 pages, because you weren't doing as many dailies on them, because you're doing more dailies on your main character and what have you. But now if you can get a group together that can complete the lost area, like 1 to 2 people or something, you can go in, get 4 pages for the group, and then get your alts maxed out as well. So the other big change is the questing visions. They're now going to drop in higher numbers from assaults and daily quests. So visions on N'Zoth daily quest now rewards 50% more questing visions. The N'Zoth assault now rewards 2,500 on top of already giving you a vessel. So one will give you 55, the other one will give you 25, I think. Or lesser threats will now reward 65. Okay, so you get an extra 1,000. You basically are getting almost another full vial for doing the 2 invasions at the start of the week. That's kind of interesting. Like I said, they're gonna give you guys a bunch of questing visions so people can experience the horrific visions that the patch was built around. And like I already told you what the negative was, is that players are gonna hit their 15 on their cloak really fast because of this. I mean, it's a catch-22. If you give the players enough visions to want to experience the patch, then obviously it's going to mean that they're going to burn through the content that much quicker. So you're hoping that players will stick around, but at the same time, you're probably expecting them to take a break from WoW until Shadowlands comes out. Reaping Flames will no longer have its cooldown reduced to 5 seconds and deal additional damage when killing twisted appendages. Not sure what those are. So tank specialization characters take an additional 50% damage from enemy players, was 40%. This is player versus player only. Blood Death Knights now heal for 12.5 the damage taken when engaged in combat with enemy players, so they basically cut it in half. Deathstrike now heals for a minimum of 3.5 of the player's health, also cut in half. Frost and Unholy, Deathstrike now heals for 30% instead of 40%. Deathstrike now hits for a minimum of 5 instead of 10. Mage, Prismatic Barrier. So basically they're gutting a lot of the survivability. So Mage's barriers will absorb 40% less. DKs won't be able to heal for as much. Demon Armor now increases stamina by 5%, was 10. Demon Armor now increases armor by 90%, was 150. So they're just trying to cut some survivability down to make PvP, I think, a little bit more easier to do. Razor Gore, the Untamed, now only saves players to the raid instance if defeated after eggs have been destroyed. That sounds like a horrible bug. If defeated after the eggs have been destroyed. But what happens if he... Oh, the bug, right, yeah. Yeah, because if you kill him before the eggs are destroyed, he wipes the raid. So, wow, that would suck to, not know about the eggs. And kill him and then get locked to the instance and not be able to get loot from him. Interesting. So this patch, like I said, is going to be really interesting. I think it's Blizzard kind of throwing in the towel, like I said at the start. They've pretty much conceded that their visions aren't going to be what keeps people playing the game. They want people to enjoy the visions, and since it's the end of the expansion, they just kind of threw their hands up like, you know what? You guys are going to experience 8.3, we might as well let you guys have the visions as much as you want, and what so have you. And then I guess they're just going to hope and pray that people come back for Shadowlands because, like I said, it's going to cause a player decline because once people reach the 15 cloak, there's really not much else to do outside of Heroic Raid if you haven't done it, or Mythic Pluses, and pushing keys as high up as you can. And I doubt, like I said, we're going to see any direct ability buffs or nerfs. If we see any nerfs, it's going to be percent for all abilities, probably. I can't imagine them trying to shake the game too much before Shadowlands. So this is probably the last exciting patch that we're gonna get, or hotfix that we're gonna get before Shadowlands, or at least the last big staple patch. So hopefully you guys enjoy this patch. Let me know what you guys think of it. Do you think this is Blizzard throwing in the towel for BFA and letting players just farm whatever they want whenever they want and being able to just burn through the content? Or do you think that you will keep playing because you have more access to the horrific visions and you don't have to put as much pressure on hanging on to them to try to level up your cloak later on down the line? Let me know what you guys think of the class changes as well. Do any of these affect your class that you guys play? Let me know, and I will see you guys on the next video. Be sure to like, favorite, subscribe if you enjoyed the video, if you enjoyed the content. It helps me know what content to make for you guys. If you guys want to help out, be sure to come check me out on Twitch. I stream pretty much daily. Sometimes I take Sundays off to kind of relax my voice in that because doing YouTube and Twitch will kill your voice. But outside of that, I'm always having a good time on Twitch as well. Later.